Now, in Kansas City, not Manhattan, Kansas in particular, Kansas is famous for barbecue, right?
I have no idea. I'm not that familiar with Kansas.
Really?
There have been reports in Manhattan, Kansas, and other areas of Kansas. No surprise that Bigfoot spotted in Kansas. We're not getting a lot of detail on this, but there's no doubt that this is a Bigfoot as opposed to some other type of creature.
I don't know how you could mistake it for anything else.
We had talked in the past about a comic book on Bigfoot, just called Bigfoot.
Rob Zombie, right?
And I'm gonna, yes. Rob Zombie was, I think, one of the producers of the comic book, or one of the writers as well. But it was drawn by an artist named Richard Corbin, who's famous because he did some of the animation in a movie called Heavy Metal, and he did a character called Den. Actually, Den is the character that he used in Heavy Metal. He's a super comic book artist. You should check out his work. It's Richard Corben. And he did the art and cover of Rob Zombie and Steve Niles' Bigfoot comic book series. And the first issue is not necessarily on the cover. It's not necessarily an image of Patterson Gimlin, but it looks
it's reminiscent of that. It doesn't really have breasts on this one, though.
No, it doesn't have breasts.
It looks more male than female.
Yes, it doesn't have breasts, and it looks all.
It's got a lot of facial features too.
But it's doing that walk, that famous frame where it has this one arm in front of it and its hands pointed backward, palm up.
Certainly interesting for anybody that's into Bigfoot. I mean, it'd be something to try to get your hands on, get a copy of it anyway.
I think they did a limited edition series.
So these might be collector's items then.
Yeah, now there was another rock star, I think it was Glenn Danzig, and he did a comic book. I don't know if it was a limited release or it ran its course. It was called Jaguar God, that I thought was really cool. It was a guy in a Mayan or something like that.
I was going to say that must have been Mexican or something.
He had like a
South American,
and I'm not sure he based it on something to do with Frazetta. I don't know if Frazetta did a character similar to that, or Frank Frazetta, the very famous illustrator and artist, comic book artist as well, and he's a legend. If you don't know who Frank Frazetta is, you should at some point in your life research the heck out of it and know everything about Frank Frazetta as well as Richard Corbin. Going back to this Bigfoot series,
it seems like Rob Zombie has his fingers in everybody's pie.
He's in a lot of different subjects and a lot of cool stuff. I didn't realize when I first saw... well, first of all, he named his band White Zombie, which is named after, I think it was a 1930s or so movie, old horror film, and it was called White Zombie, and it was about it wasn't about traditional, it wasn't about zombies as you know them today. It was more about zombies, like the religion of voodoo that the African slaves worked with, and it was a pretty cool movie. It's a classic. It wasn't the George A. Romero type of zombie movie that came out in the late 60s.
Which is a more modern day zombie.
Yes, and of course they've really changed it around. So now the zombies, instead of being slow, they're frantic, like they're on speed or crystal meth.
Like on Walking Dead, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
We'll talk about more of this in the next episode, but just how cool that comic book is. There's just frames. If you do a search for it, you can get an image search. You can see some of the cool imagery that Richard Corbin drew for the comic book series. But we'll talk about that the next episode.